Right, so this is a suggestion via a donation. The name of the video is, are scorpions OP? I have no idea. Let's check it out. Let's go ahead and, all right, here we go. Okay, so absolutely the entry music to Elden Ring, right? From Software, and I don't know how this Scorpion one-shotted the mouse, hit him for 99.99 points. Wow. Okay, first of all, he's obviously using some type of trainer, all right? Because there's nothing in the game that's gonna do that much. Well, there are a couple of things, but there's nothing that's gonna one-shot something unless it's a super low rank object. But as of right now, Scorpions do feel. Oh, it was almost a great enemy?
Scorpions are one of the most intimidating builds in the game. They're also one of the oldest, and have been in the game since before the devs even added the terrestrial server DLC.
Okay.
The combination of powerful claws and deadly stinger create an imposing threat to anyone looking to challenge them in combat. But has their ancient strategy held up in the face of the immense power creep the game has seen? Let's take a closer look at the stats and abilities Scorpions employ, and ultimately decide where they fall on the tier list. This video was made in partnership with...
Let's see his tier list really quickly though, guys. All right, so it looks like humans, house cats, maybe bees, dolphins, alligators, and a dog. Okay, all right, these are all S tier. Bro, I'm sorry. All right, if a hippopotamus is an A tier, I don't know if we're S tier, bro.
Decide where they fall on the
We'll
tier
see
list.
though. We'll see.
This video was made in partnership with CuriosityStream. First, their stats. The Scorpion's stats are fairly decent across the board. Nothing completely overtuned, but not really lacking in any areas other than mobility and intelligence. Their power is obviously quite strong, as the Scorpion sports multiple types of damage-dealing equipment. Their claws act as potent grappling weapons, which can also deal minor crushing and slicing damage. Their Venom Sting is their ace move though, being able to one-shot most players if the move connects. Big if there, but
headshot.
That. Their defenses are quite sturdy, though they sport the fairly standard chitin armor found in most arthropod builds. This is all they really need to be able to deflect most attacks from players within their own weight class, giving it ample time to counterattack with its piercing stinger. It gets easily crushed by larger foes, however. This armor is also crucial for avoiding passive environmental damage from things like sandstorms, which are common in the biomes Scorpion mains favor. Despite the fact that humans have a way to completely negate the Scorpion's camouflage, against most opponents, the Scorpion's stealth is quite effective.
Yeah.
In addition to camouflage, the Scorpion's flat shape allows it to easily wedge itself into more defensible positions, and their digging ability enables them to take cover in a pinch, which is good because stealth is basically their only option against more powerful players.
Guys, I bet they taste disgusting
against attacks from larger builds. You'd think their potent venom would make for an effective deterrent against attacks.
No, but
But as we'll see, this defense falls apart rather quickly when it's truly tested. Their intelligence being below average is no surprise. Intelligence builds weren't viable at all when Scorpions were first added to the game. And while it's by far the most power-crept stat in the game now, back during the Ordovician expansion, intelligence as a strategy was largely ignored, and most players didn't level it beyond the point of granting basic sensory capabilities. So with all that said, Scorpions are a solid build with a straightforward strategy and a respectable history. However, as alluded to earlier, power creep has massively undercut the viability of Scorpion builds. A good player will have very little difficulty playing around the Scorpion's strengths and exploiting its major weaknesses. So let's talk about those weaknesses.
The monkey is smart enough to just grab for the stinger, though.
Its major weaknesses.
I mean,
so let's talk about those weaknesses.
Cool thing to know, at least. It knows where the pain is going to come from. Guys, why was that turned all the way down?
It is great for new players to be able to learn quickly. The Scorpion's core strategy is to grapple an opponent, immobilizing them so that the Scorpion's sting attack can connect without issue. The problem is, if they miss their grapple attempt, things can get dicey pretty quickly. Without claws holding the target in place, the Venom Sting attack has a pretty terrible accuracy rating. It's easily dodged, blocked, or avoided. Worse still, this stinger is not a disjointed hitbox. It can be damaged just the same as the rest of the Scorpion's body. In fact, when dealing with a scorpion, this is the optimal strategy. Scorpion claws are fairly weak compared to other clawed arthropods. Hermit crabs and lobsters can both deal far more damage via their vice grip attacks. Scorpions rarely deal lethal damage in such a way, so if an opponent attacks and disables their stinger, it's often game over for the scorpion.
Right.
Scorpions also have very little counterplay when faced with multiple opponents. With no multi-target or AoE attacks, and no means of quick escape, they're quickly overwhelmed from a multi-directional onslaught. Their grab attacks are also not as effective as they need to be at times. Because they mostly rely on the pointed ridges of their claws to maintain grip, armored targets that can resist being punctured by these spines can often slip right out of their grip with ease.
But it looks like almost everything can resist being punctured by them if they're that weak.
Not that the scorpion had much hope of landing a sting against a target with high puncture resistance anyway. Now let's talk about matchups. First, the bad, of which there are many. The scorpion's worst matchups are going to be builds that spec into puncture-resistant armor or venom resistance.
Okay.
Several mammal builds, like the shrew and mongoose, opt for venom resistance solely for the purpose of subverting the scorpion's defenses, which makes this a borderline unwinnable matchup.
Okay, so I'm definitely starting to see a trend, though. A lot of the animals that hunt this animal seem to go directly for the stinger.
Round shape of beetle armor is perfect for deflecting sting attacks, and extremely difficult to secure via grappling. Beetles tend to also be fairly lacking in their offensive stats, so it is rare to actually be defeated by one, but as a hunting target, they present quite a challenge. Ants obviously must be avoided at all costs, as scorpions have no outs against a swarming attack.
Right.
Birds have high accuracy on their pecking attacks and are often quite good at targeting their stingers. Their quick movement presents very little opportunity for counterattack, making this a tough matchup. Certainly not impossible, though.
Okay, so now is the stinger poisonous, guys?
As one hit from the stinger is,
or is it just like a pain thing, right?
Likely enough to KO any bird, and their feathers provide zero puncture resistance.
I think I just
Reptiles are kind of a toss-up. An attack from a lizard or snake is usually powerful. Reptiles are kind of a toss-up. An attack and are often quite good at targeting their stingers. Their quick movement presents very little opportunity for counterattack, making this a tough matchup. Certainly not impossible, though, as one hit from the stinger is likely enough to KO any bird, and their feathers provide zero puncture resistance. Reptiles are kind of a toss-up. An attack from a lizard or snake is usually powerful enough to deal heavy damage through the scorpion's armor. However, these attacks usually present ample opportunity for a stinging counterattack too. If it connects, it may one-shot the reptile, but not before it has already dealt potentially lethal damage anyway. Scale armor is also somewhat puncture resistant, so this, combined with the sting's low accuracy, means these fights tend to favor the reptile.
Low accuracy.
For good matchups, scorpions are actually quite effective against spiders. They lack strong armor and need to get in close to deliver their own lethal strike, presenting lots of opportunity for counterattacks. Their webbing is of course a threat.
Okay, so their stinger. So I'm sorry, I'm learning all this brand new information, guys. All right, so their stinger, it's not like a bee. Like, for example, like when a bee stings you, it basically rips out its whole stomach for the most part, right? But the stinger seems to be an unlimited use weapon in a sense, right? If that's the case, then they may be slightly OP because they have unlimited rounds in that chamber, bro. They may. It's by the looks of it. Because if they're stinging and then still existing, they have unlimited use.
But it's difficult for a spider to whip down all three weapons, especially since the claws can slice through silk. Scorpions are also fairly decent at defending themselves from mammals like cats and dogs, as their claws cannot do much damage against the scorpion's armor, but the scorpion can easily counterattack for lethal if the mammal gets too careless. There are a few abilities I think could turn scorpions into a top-tier threat.
Okay.
A more versatile grappling option would be a solid start. Their claws struggle to secure opponents with puncture resistance or round shape, both of which are fairly abundant in the current meta. Okay. But there are plenty of other grappling techniques they could spec into instead of pincher claws. Like? The Velvet Worm's glue spray attack could work well to immobilize prey, though this might not be super effective when trying to pin a player to a sandy surface. They could spec into the sort of tether grab attack like the chameleon uses. Though this requires a level of precision and accuracy that I don't think the chameleon uses. Surface.
I have never paid attention to animals, guys. So please excuse my ignorance. I keep having to say this while watching, a lot of these videos recently because, again, guys, I am completely, animal. I don't know, guys. But what is happening with this thing's mouth?
Sort of tether grab attack, like the.
Is it like regurgitating something and then sucking it back in fast enough? What is that?
Chameleon uses. Though this requires.
No, that's like a tongue or something.
There's a level of precision and accuracy that I don't think the Scorpion's current perception perks can quite support. Scorpions could really benefit from catching up to the other arthropods who run the compound eyes perk, as this would really help alleviate their accuracy problem.
Right.
One strat I think would work really well.
Like understanding where it is in space would probably help, but the fact that it doesn't have much intelligence, how can it really be precise? How can it be? It doesn't understand where it is in space good enough or well enough to be excessively precise with the stinger.
Would be to min-max for the burrowing playstyle a bit more deliberately. The Antlion's playstyle of building a trap could be really effective, and the Scorpion is already fairly deep.
Well, that's a Skyrim reference.
Lion's playstyle.
Now we're playing Skyrim.
Of building a trap could be really effective.
I like it. Oh yeah. Sneak increase to yeah.
And the Scorpion is already fairly decent at digging holes. The added protection of staying out of sight would help against some of their worst matchups too. As they are now though, to be honest, I do think Scorpions have been power crept pretty hard and that their glory days of being a top meta threat are long gone. Their powerful grab sting death combo is still quite powerful, but their strategy is too easily subverted to make a dent in high level play. I place them firmly in D tier on the tier list.
D tier.
Nonetheless, Scorpions are a fascinating build that I do hope eventually get buffed.
Alright, so now we know for a fact they're absolutely not OP. If you're putting this animal into D tier, then, yeah.
If you'd like to learn more about Scorpions, there's...
Guys, what's below D? Oh god, there has to be something below D.
It's an excellent...
Like, what just constantly gets annihilated by Scorpions?
Documentary I can recommend called Animal Armor. It's part of a series called Nature's Fight Club, and this episode centers on animals which prioritize their defensive abilities. It has a substantial section all about scorpions, but also features incredible builds like the pangolin and porcupine. You can check it out on CuriosityStream, the sponsor of today's video. CuriosityStream is a subscription streaming service where you can watch thousands...
Alright guys, listen, so overall, I don't think that scorpions are OP. Just to answer the direct question, based off what we've learned today, you could probably just step on it. Right, because I don't know if it has poison or if it's just like physical, if it's a physical attack, right? So I don't know yet. If it's a constant physical attack, if it has some type of venom that causes slight pain, right? Can it, like, what can it do to us if we get stung by a scorpion? I have no idea, bro. So many questions. Not all of them were answered, but I will tell you, they are definitely not OP, and he doesn't even think they're OP. How do I know? Because he said they're D tier, guys. But all right, listen. Let me know in the comments of the next one of these from him that I should be checking out, and I will get to that as soon as I possibly can. All right? And listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy it thoroughly.